Hey y'all, this is Max March-Styman. I'm a level 2 USA track and field jumps coach and personal trainer, aerialist, and former science teacher. I'm talking to you today about plyometrics and how to translate what we know in the world of track and field to the world of figure skating. Today we're going to be talking about how we land when we jump. A lot of the times we talk about landing kind of on your toe and then onto your heel. And I want to talk about why that might not always be the best idea. So first of all, I'm going to show this box demo. If I take my hand and I raise my middle finger and I try to hit it onto the table as hard as I can make a sound, right? But if I take my finger and I pull it back just passively and I let go, I can create a lot more force. The idea of what we're trying to do in track and field and for jumps training in general is to create that sort of force. We call that the stretch shortening reflex, and all that means is that we're using our connective tissue, that means our ligaments and tendons, a lot like rubber bands, in order to generate a lot more force. But in order to use something like a rubber band, we want to be able to stretch it as much as possible. So in track and field, when we're jumping, we want to try to land what we call full-footed. That means that the entire foot hits the ground at the same time. I have some connective tissue on the back of my foot. I call this my Achilles tendon. It's very, very strong. And it's very, very flexible. And so if I can use the flexibility of my Achilles tendon, what I can do is take all of the force that I take when I land or when I drop or when I bend my knees, I'm loading this like a rubber band, and I can take all of that energy and translate it up into a jump. If instead I land on my toe, then what I'm doing is braking. I'm absorbing a shock. So when a dancer jumps, a dancer will jump from their heels and their toes take off the ground, and then they land from their toes to their heels, right? So they take off, heels come off, toes come off, and when they land toes, and then heels, and then knees. This is a really great way to absorb energy, but now, if I jump, all of that rubber band stretch doesn't really happen, and it makes it very hard to get a rebound. If I'm running really, really fast, or if I'm skating fast, now instead of absorbing maybe 2 times my body weight with a ballet jump, or 3 times my body weight with a ballet leap, I'm now trying to absorb 10 times or so of my body weight with 1 foot before I take off. And if I try to brake with my toes, what's going to end up happening, because there's so much force going into that foot, is that I collapse into my heel. So that rubber band effect that we wanted is now gone. Instead of being able to reabsorb and translate that energy into the air, it gets put instead into my joints. And it's going to go into what we call the proximal, or the next joint up on my chain. So now if I'm trying to stop with my toes, I end up braking at the heels, and my knee absorbs all of that shock. Whatever body weight that I can't transfer goes straight into my knees. To avoid this problem, in track and field, we focus on landing what we call full-footed, which is the whole foot coming down at once. And that whole foot comes down, I bend my knees, I can jump up again. I'm now translating that energy as opposed to just absorbing that energy. So the difference I will show you between 2 jumps. The first jump, I'm going to land on my toes. The second jump, I'm going to land on my full foot. Here's the first jump. And then I jump again, and I get about that high. Now if I land off full-footed, you'll see the difference. I end up jumping much higher because I'm able to use the rubber band in my connective tissue a lot better. So when we're encouraging our athletes to do a lot of these jumping drills, the idea of it isn't necessarily to absorb shock. The idea of it is to take all of that energy they built up and put it somewhere else. And because of that, we want them to land on the entirety of their foot. Great. I hope that explains why in track and field we want athletes to land on their entire foot and how you can apply that to your training with your athletes. Thank you.
If this was helpful, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. See you soon!